and welcome to... God damn it. Hey, Kevin. What's up, Kevin? I had a whole intro. You know, we do this bit on the show where I pretend the show is a different show every week, and I do like the intro for that show. And I had one just absolutely ready to go, but like in the last 2 seconds before the show started, I was like, I don't know, maybe this isn't a good intro. And and this is obviously much better than that would have been, you know, so... Yeah, I don't know. I'm sick, you guys. I've been scromiting all week. I don't know if you guys are heard about this, but weed use can lead to scromiting episodes, which are when you can't help but scream and vomiting. You know, vomiting is bad enough, but when your body is forcing itself to scream against your will, that's just horrifying. So, you know, it's been really rough, but I didn't think I could do the show, but I made it. What's up, Kevin? How you doing?
Well, I good compared to you, I think. I mean, I had a little bit of a cough, but I haven't been stream vomiting. No.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm usually this zoomed in. Whatever. We got a corker of a guest. That's like from Comedy Bang Bang, right? I don't know. Whatever. We got a guest. we have just a guest.
Guest.
We have a really exciting guest. He's a person I really respect. I really admire. He's really funny. He does Rude Tales of Magic. He's one of the best DMs I've ever seen. And you know, by golly, he's a fucking amazing artist as well. Creator of Swan Boy. You know, also on Hulu. It's a cartoon now, not just a comic. But yeah, Branson Reese is here, everybody. What's up, Branson? How's it doing?
Hello. I'm good. I'm great now. I was fine before, but then compared to scromiting, and then after that intro, I feel like $1 million. Thank you.
Yeah, so scromiting is today's hyper niche thing that no one will remember in a week, I would have to imagine, off of Twitter. You haven't been on Twitter, is my understanding, but so you might have missed this scromiting thing. But so have you missed this? I guess let's phrase it in a direct question. Is this something you're aware of?
I've completely missed this. I've taken a little break from Twitter. I got locked out of my account, and I just was like, well, that's probably as good a time as any to just take a little break. What is so it's scream vomiting?
It's scream vomiting. Okay, so you know how the media is morally and intellectually bankrupt and essentially just pushes this or that agenda based on their personal spleen or
has come up once or twice. Yeah.
It's basic. You know, it's one of the of all the depressing things. To me, it's just one of the most depressing, which is like, these are the people that are tasked with interpreting reality for us, you know, on some level, and they couldn't be doing a worse job. But there's someone, I believe she's like a British journalist. I don't know. She did an article for some website that was co.uk, like some journal. I don't think it was The Guardian, but I can't remember. And it was about how weed in California is getting so strong and so dangerous that a lot of like babies, adolescent children are getting what she's calling, not they. I don't know how many people would corroborate this, but weed poisoning or marijuana poisoning. And so she did like a tweet thread about it, was like, oh, everywhere I go, it reeks of weed. And I went to a baby yoga place, and they were like, yeah, all these kids are always high now because of just the weed in the air. And I talked to this doctor, and she said incidences of scromiting have more than doubled among pre-adolescent kids, which is a week's long bout of involuntary vomiting and screaming simultaneously. And so yeah, I don't think any of this is true. The source of her article, it does sound
extremely made up. It sounds like especially like British, like fake moral panic. Like if you were to put like all like British slang into a centrifuge for like 3 days, it would like it would emerge as like the one remaining word.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is Grommet almost feels like its own word, like you know, like it's kind of Wallace and Gromit arch nemesis or something, you know.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of Gromit from Wallace and Gromit.
It does sound British, but that's probably why. I don't know, but yeah,
there's an element of crumpet to it, too. You know, which they're always eating crumpets, right?
Yeah,
I don't know what they're up to over there.
it's just, I don't know. Apparently the doctor that she was talking to is like this crazy doctor who hates weed or something. And so I don't know. Doctors are another thing that's failing in our society. You know, as doctors can just be like political ideologues and be all like, women can't get sick. They just make things up, you know, and it's like, you're a doctor.
Yeah.
You can't like, so I don't know. It's just so weird to see, like, it's obviously, you know, I'm not saying don't trust your doctors, but it's just like, it's crazy out there. Like,
Well,
everyone
just if
can
you
just
don't
make
like
shit up.
what your doctor's saying, don't trust your doctor. In that, if they're saying like don't smoke or anything, like, oh, fuck off, you know, like you don't have to trust your doctor in that case.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably more the doctors I've had, but a lot of times I feel like unless I go in with like a specific WebMD self-diagnosis and say, I think I have this, I would love this test, I would love this treatment, like I get nothing. It's just like come back later in a month if this is still happening. And it's not like they'll say, yes, you have the thing you think, yes, we'll order the tests that you want, yes, we'll give you the treatment you want.
Right.
They don't do that, but they will do something as opposed to nothing. And I don't know. What are your experiences with doctors? You get ill lately? You know, any doctors situations?
I had COVID. I didn't go to the doctor for it. I just knew what had happened. You know, when you have COVID, so I just had it, and I was like, "Well, I don't need to get a doctor sick. They got enough on their plates." You know, so I just stayed home and I weathered it. My doctor experience was I didn't go to the doctor for like 8 or 9 years because I was a boy in my 20s with alcoholism. You know, I just didn't do it. I couldn't make any time to go. And then finally, when I was like 29 or maybe even 30, I went to the doctor for the first time in years. And I told her, I was like, hey, I haven't been here in like almost a decade. And she told me, she was like, lot of 30-year-old men, a lot of 29-year-old, like a lot of guys like have that story. Don't do that again or you'll die. But like and then she ran the tests and everything. She's like, you're fine. Cholesterol's a little high. I got it taken care of. Now everything's good. But she was like, if you do that again, you're dead. You cannot do that again.
Yeah, well, I imagine, you know, the health things pile up over the years, and you know, probably once you hit 30 or something, it gets a lot worse. I had a similar story, but for me, it's like my parents went on Cobra. You know about Cobra?
No, I just know the animal, and they can't be what you mean.
No, my parents were riding a Cobra for a decade. No, but when you stop getting employee granted healthcare, you can go on this government plan called Cobra.
Yes, yeah, I do know that. Why wouldn't I have jumped to that instead of the animal? Of course, in context, it makes much more sense what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I think the thought process is, the animal. No, it can't be the animal. Must be the group of martial artists. And it's like, okay, well, I'm way out in the weeds. I'm gonna stop guessing, you know, at this point. But
the enemy of the mongoose. That's what we're talking about. What awful thing to. This is very hack, but it's to name your like government health program after like a notably deadly animal.
Yeah, and not just deadly, but deadly via poison. You know, it's like venomous.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like a very insidious health thing to afflict someone. But yeah, I don't know. Like one time I was having probably a panic attack, and I went to the doctor because I'd always gone to the doctor. And they ended up charging me like an obscene amount of money because I was just on Cobra, and I thought I had a health insurance because I didn't understand the difference because I was, you know, not a kid, but you know, stupid. And so I was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to go to the doctor anymore. Otherwise, you know, it'll just cost my parents a ton of money. And then I moved out, didn't have health insurance for a long, long time until like maybe 3-4 years ago. Yeah, my volume went off. Anyway, it just sucked. So I was in a similar situation, and then I started going to the doctor. But I think in that time, I had become more afraid of the doctor. Like I was never afraid of the doctor at before, but it's just I was so like used to not thinking about it that I was like, I don't like this. But I'm trying to get over it. It's just now I just get more mad about the money. It's like it's always $100, even though I have health insurance, and the health insurance costs a lot of money, you know. So it's like,
it's insane. I pay all this money for health insurance, and I'm on a better insurance now than I wasn't on insurance for. That's why I didn't go to the doctor. It's not just, you know, not just that I was dumb. It's that I couldn't afford it. And now I go to the doctor and it's like, all right, this is my insurance, and they'll look at it and be like, oh, awesome, nothing changes, or maybe we'll charge you more, or so. It's like it's completely like not related to how much I pay.
They will charge you more. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. So I had to go to the dentist recently. I needed a root canal, and I had insurance, but my insurance card didn't have dental on it. And so they were like, okay, well, if you don't have dental, and I wasn't sure I had dental, so they were like, we'll just charge you the out of insurance rates. And I thought those rates were great. I don't know what other people charge, but I was like, I can't imagine this being cheaper with insurance. Like, it's like I've never, when I was a kid and my parents were on insurance, like I knew they would hear the bills and stuff, and those would be like more than I was paying. And so it's like, I don't know, the whole thing seems really suspect to me. It's just bad, you know.
I've been before, and I gave them my insurance card, and they were like, oh, this is expired, which I don't even think was true. But anyway, they were like, it's card. There was a whole rigmarole with my insurance card. And finally, at the doctor's office, they were like, you know what? Forget about it. Like, don't worry. And they just didn't charge me. They were just like, all right, it was just a checkup. But still, it's like, I remember that happening and being like, we gotta tell everyone that this is happening, because everyone could go to the doctor if this is how it works. It'll probably last a week before it crashes in on itself. But like, they just don't charge you. And I'll tell you, this is public. It's going out. Anyone listening, sometimes they just don't charge you. I was very nice to the lady. I think that helped.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder how doctors get paid, because like, do they just get paid out of the cash register from like their appointments and stuff? Or like, are they paid from
There's a
like,
little tip jar they all divide up?
Yeah, because like, you know, when you go to the vet and stuff, they always say, oh, their prices are because the costs are so high. So how are we going to pay the vet? And I get that, because that's just its own kind of institution. So it's like, where can they get the money? But like with the health system, it's like, are they just like, oh, we had a lot of customers today, so I guess my take home is like, but you don't think of that being how doctors get paid, because they're so rich, you know, they're this classically wealthy cat, like that's what we believe at least. But it's like, how does that work? Because if they get paid anyway, then why don't they just, you know, like give people free appointments? I don't know.
My conception of a doctor, it's like they're just one tier below like the monopoly man on like who is making money in America. And so I know this like disqualifies me or whatever from like having an opinion on like socialized medicine, but like, I don't give a shit. I don't care how they're getting paid. They're getting paid. I don't give a shit how it happens, but I need to go to the doctor in the meantime. And I'm sure there are other people who need to go more urgently than I do. So I don't that's my political opinion on healthcare in America. I don't fucking care. Just make it free. So I don't know, but build one less jet, and then that'll fund everything for like 2 years.
Yeah, like my instinct is to blame it on health insurance, but who knows? You know, maybe they don't get paid. Like, do they get paid by health insurance? I don't know. But you know, we didn't come here to talk about. We
are like a Republicans boogeyman right now. You know, it's like they don't even know where the money goes, and they're complaining about it. It's like they got me dead to rights on that one. I don't know where it goes or where it comes from, and I don't care. And I'm right.
Well, that's the thing, is that you never have to take anything a Republican says at face value, because it's always some form of deception or manipulation. So any validation that they might have any sort of point is just kind of a waste of like I don't know, ammo, energy.
I mean, and to be completely fair, same. The same is true. I'm often lying. I'm usually like deceiving to get out of something or to get my way or to make an argument go smoother for me. I'm often lying. The difference is I'm right and I know I'm good. That's it. That's the difference.
That's the thing. That's why I would be better than all the people in the movies, because the movies are like, oh, I don't know if I should use my power for good. And I'd be like, I'd be done with this movie in like 2 minutes. I'd just be like, bang, bang, we win.
I would never. That's always drives me nuts in all media. The refusal of the call it's like that would be a split second for me of like, hey, all right, well, I'll just do it because that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's refreshing to hear you say that, because when I talk to people, they have a much more dainty kind of way about it. Like, oh, things are right. Like, oh, that's not the right way to do it. And I'm like, is this performative? Do they really believe this? Because I really do believe I would be a great world dictator. Like, if I could wave a wand and become the dictator, I would be very, you know, evil, but I think it would be a really good system, and a lot of people would, you know, it would be a better system than we have, but I would just probably assassinate people and stuff to make sure that I had power, you know, to do it, you know, it'd be Medicare for all and all the good things, you know, but I just like, I don't know, but I don't know if that's how people think.
You would be fine. I'd vote for, I wouldn't get the vote, I think, in this reality, but I would, you know, you'd have my spiritual vote. I'd be good at it. Who cares? Also, it's not happening. It's not happening anytime. I've seen the news. It's not. They're not like looking for me to say, we need our king. It's not happening. So who cares? I can dream about it all I want. I'd be such a good dictator.
Yeah, and it's like if I have to be evil. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll do it all right, and then probably someone will assassinate me, and hopefully they don't fuck it up, and from there, hopefully we're just smooth sailing for a while.
It's Santa Claus rule, you pass the baton. It's good luck to you, good. Yeah. Welcome to hell, kid, as the bullet is like leaving my skull.
That could be really good. But yeah, man, I don't know. This is great, and I'm gonna just bring it all to a screeching halt and ask you questions. Is that okay?
Sure. Of course. I love to talk.
So, when did you first when did you first become aware of Dungeons and Dragons?
Early on. I think it was. God, I don't know the moment. I feel like I may, that there's this like Dexter's Lab episode from when I was a little kid when they're like playing D&D. I think that was an early one. I know I would go to when I'd visit my grandparents in Tennessee and then Florida. I'd go to like Books A Million or like a Walden Books, and I'd read whatever like D&D. Like I'd tear through the Garfields, and then I'd go to the D&Ds, which like seemed a little more older, and and I'd just look at the drawings and I'd look at the art in there, and like. Sort of, there were like rules and stuff in there that I'm still not very interested in. But I would just like read it's like, oh, this like gelatinous cube or whatever. And there's like a guy like reaching through. And when I was a little kid, I think that would have been either second edition or like third 3.5, like that sort of range of editions. I think those were in bookstores. So that's what I was reading. And so whatever that art I found very evocative, but I think that would have been the beginning of it, and then I didn't play, and it just seemed prohibitively difficult. It was for like a little kid who had like ADHD and all that shit. Like it's like I got enough homework to do. I don't want to learn rules to a game. I already cheat at every game I play. Like I don't need to learn a new rule set right now. So that like kept me from doing. And then I didn't have any friends who were playing, and then. But I think I was aware of it probably around like 8 to 10, somewhere in that range.
And then when did you actually start playing then? Way later?
Not till way later. I think, no, I didn't have any books in high school, but I'd like read, I'd read them at like Borders and shit. Like this is also to anyone who's like young. I don't know the viewership or listenership. If you're born in like 2011 or something, it's like we used to have physical bookstores that were for more than just like going on the street to go like shit in. They were big, you'd go there, it would be like a whole afternoon. You'd like go to the bookstore and hang out there. These huge ones, like these Borders ones that I'd go there and they always had them. And it wasn't until I think the first game I played was in college with this great DM, very good guy, this guy, Dave Lasky, who ruled. If anyone has a chance to be me in college and play with him, he was very, very cool. And he had a very cool like philosophy on it. And I was like, hey, I met through a mutual friend who brought me along, and he knew I didn't know how to play, but wanted to. And he's like, you'll be great. It'll be good. And he just like had a conversation with me. And through that conversation, sort of like he did like a mentalist stuff. He just like cold read me and like asked all the right questions. It was like, all right, you're going to be like a gnome sorcerer. And I was like, sounds good. I have no opinion on any of this shit. Like, sounds good. And so I forget, I'm sure it was like some like Cornholio or some name or whatever, and I was completely disruptive in the game that we played, but he handled me very well. He like gave me all the, like we met like a lion and I attacked it very quickly. And he was like, all right, if you want to get the bull, you get the horn, he was very, very, very cool. And then I didn't play again for years. But yeah, the first time was in college.
That's awesome. I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is like nostalgia or like navel gazing or whatever, but I don't know that this happened to me, but just in terms of hearing stories from people, I feel like there was this like past era that's almost lost of DMing, where there was these sage-like DMs that could really like weave things and weave someone into a game. Like Dan always used to talk about how his first DM was like this crazy, impossibly good person, and that's not anything I've experienced, but you hear this a lot, where these people are just like they're kind of zen almost, and they can like roll people and really slowly, or like just get someone into it. Like the idea of him kind of essentially giving you like what amounts to like a personality test to kind of generate your character.
Yeah, he like
that
Myers
feels
Briggs
very much in that bucket. Yeah.
Can I ask, what was your first like your first time playing? Did you have a DM who was like a sage-like figure like that?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the first time I played was like maybe when I was in third grade. We would go to my extended families for like Thanksgiving and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then one of those holidays, one of my cousins who was like about 10 years older than me, they had like, I want to say they were third edition books, and they they generated characters, or they already had characters or something. And we played, like, I just remembered casting Goodberry, and I couldn't tell you anything that happened, but it was just like a short, like probably less than an hour session. And then I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then like later, my friends had second edition books that they like got at garage sales or something. They were worn out, and we would just kind of look through them, mostly the monster manual. And then one of them got third edition.
And shit, like all the first edition is like the coolest. Like it's got all the like really grody art that it looks like anyone looking at it, it's like you could draw that. You know, it's like the appeal of like a lot of like lo-fi and punk stuff, you know, where it's like, you know, you could be doing that. It's not this hard. You could do it too. Like it's got that kind of art. But second edition to me is the real like D&D. When I think like D&D, I think like the second edition, like source books, and the art for that is very like, that's my conception of it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of like the evocative. And also I think that was like, I think AD&D came first, but second edition like was second edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And so like I think that was almost also like the height of inscrutability too. Whereas in the beginning it was more vague, and so you kind of just had to put things together yourself. But then in second edition it was like, here it's really complicated and there's so much stuff. I think they kind of start to do like the beginnings of what was prestige classes, so even classes were a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was THAC0, and THAC0 is just insane.
Yeah, Chris on Rude Tales was telling me about THAC0, and it was you know, it's like I'm sure he saw it in me too. I've had this conversation with people a million times where they start telling me something and it's like eyes just glaze over right away, or it's like I've done the mental math. None of this is gonna stick. I will. And he like right away he was like, oh, you're not okay. This is never gonna stick with you. We'll move on. But it did sound very complicated.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, and what's so funny is when I was a kid and I was reading about THAC0 and my friend was explaining it to me, I was like, but why do they do it this way? Wouldn't it be so much more simple to do it this way? And then my idea was what became like regular armor class and stuff in third edition. It's like, yeah, it turns out it was just because essentially what it is, this is very basic, but essentially what it is you have all the numbers backward and then you subtract 20 to get a negative number, and then you add back 20 somewhere else. So it's like, but you could just not use the 20, you know, it's like a math equation. You take it off of both sides. Yeah. And it's like, how could you invent this system and then not look at it and go, wouldn't it be way easier to just reduce the fraction or whatever the hell? Yeah. So it was really crazy, but, yeah. When we started playing, we didn't know how to play, so instead of making characters, we would just make monsters, or we would just take monster stat blocks, and then those were our characters. Like I was like, oh, I'm a mind flayer, cool, and stuff. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. But then like 2 or 3 years later, we actually kind of started understanding the rules. The thing is, it's hard because they're in different books, and you don't necessarily know. It was kind of before the internet was big, so it's like, well, I have this book. Certainly I don't need more books, you know, and it's like, well, this isn't even the whole game. You need
like 3 just to even get started. It's a great business model. You got to hand it to them on that. It's to split it up into 1 million books, and then they're always releasing new books. And this is what always like, even as a kid, what like threw me about it was it'd be like, oh, you actually can't do that yet. Like we can't, like, we don't, like, you can't play as like a kobold or a goblin or whatever until they release the stats for it. It's like, well, fuck you. Yes, I can. It's pretend. Like, this is, I did this when I was like 3. Like, I'll just say I'm a goblin and then just reskin a halfling or some shit, or, you know, whatever. Like, let's make it up myself. It's just like 6 numbers at the end of the day. You know, it's not like come on.
Yeah, no, it's not hard to be imaginative. And I don't know, for me, like, I was always playing pretend, and then when we started playing D&D, it kind of just naturally grew out of that because I was young enough to still be playing pretend and then also be playing Dungeons and Dragons. And so for me, I don't know, a lot of what people I think have complimented about my style is that it's just like, yeah, no, it's pretend. Let's make it cool. That's the point of playing pretend,
It's pretend. I mean, it's like, as like D&D, it's nerds or whatever. Like, for all of that shit, it is ultimately, I think, how I perceive it and like approach it, seems to ultimately just be like a sort of organized way to play pretend as an adult, which sounds very infantilizing. But like, come on, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, fun. You could probably say that about improv to some level too, right? But it's like,
and you'd be right.
Yeah, but I don't think I think that people, they want to, I don't know, whatever. I don't know where I was going with that. But your style is really creative and fancy free, so to speak.
Thank you.
But how do you manage that? It's like, it sounds like you don't think about stats too much. Do you make like back end kind of numbers or anything at all, or you just kind of go, like, obviously you have the Bullymancer as a character on your podcast. Is that something you've put a lot of thought into, or is it just he's going to insult people and then effects will happen? Or like, I've just always been curious about stuff like that.
Yeah, it depends. No, Bullymancy, I didn't expect him to be. So Bullymancy, there's a character on the show, for anyone who doesn't know, his name is Hot Roddy, and he's a bully, and he's a very like, 50s greaser, kind of like Danny Zuko style guy, but he's a dwarf, and he's a Bullymancer, which means that as he bullies people, it powers up like his sorcery. So he's basically just like a fire-themed sorcerer who uses bully. He picks fights that he knows he can win, which is what bullying is, because I just thought that was funny. It really just like started with a joke of like, I thought like what a bully is very funny to me. And so I thought to codify that into like the rules of D&D is even stupider and funny, of like, he picks a fight he knows he can win, and that's what makes him strong. Is like, well, that could apply to anyone. There's nothing special there. But then, it's like, because it's D&D, it's like there actually is like magic that binds him, and like as he bullies people and as he's nicer, it makes him weaker. And no, to answer your question, there is zero, and I think it shows in the show. Like I did no like stat blocking or anything like that for him. He's a sorcerer, and I just have it so that he's a sorcerer. And I didn't work very hard. I couldn't tell you his stats. I just know I made his constitution like a 20. Because I was just rolling I did roll his stats, and one of them was a 20. And I was like, okay, he's going to be a lightning rod. I can just tell right away he's going to be a lightning rod for like damage, and people are going to want to hit him. I'll put that in the constitution. And that's it. That's like the only thing I remember anytime I'm playing him is like, he can't do a ton of damage, but he can just take a lot of damage, that's it. That's it. It's like, I don't know his HP. I don't know his AC. I have it written down somewhere, and I'll like glance at it while we're playing. But for me, it's always like momentum over rules or logic. So it's like, if I'm going to lose if I'm going to lose more than like a few seconds to like look something up, I'm not going to do it. So like if they're fighting a dragon or something, in my thinking too, it's like, oh, a dragon's powerful. I'm not going to fuck with them. I'm not I'm a bit of a jerk, but I'm not like that much of a jerk. I'm not going to like put them into an unwinnable situation where I'm just changing the rules constantly. What I will do, though, is put them into a situation where I'm not 100% sure what the rules are. And I know they're not, because if I'm not, there's no way they can be. So it's just like, what's going to happen? I don't know. That's reality, right? I mean, like if a guy jumps out at you on the street, you don't know his hit points, like he just starts swinging at you. Like, what's your AC? Well, I don't know what fucking AC. It's probably low. I'm weak. Like that, like, and so that's like that's my, and then, within that, there's like little life rules or improv rules where it's like, look, if they come up with a good idea, I'm not going to fuck. I've fucked with them on the show for coming up with good ideas before. It's not so good. It wasn't great. Those are like maybe the little missteps I made on the show, or like, oh yeah, actually it was a good one. I should have just given it to him, or it's like, I just sort of fly by the seat of my pants on that, where like, if it works, okay, great. There's an episode coming up that we just recorded where somebody it's this huge climactic like boss battle fight where they're fighting this sort of like, can't give away too much, but it's this sort of like dragon like creature. And somebody came up with an idea that was so stupid and funny that I was like, well, it won't be Rude Tales of Magic if I don't allow, like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And it worked, and it shouldn't have worked. And like, there's no rule it's like there's a rule that there is a rule that says a dog can't play this type of basketball. And I was like, well, fuck it. It's okay. That's so funny. And so it's like Roger Rabbit rules. It tends to be how, where it's like, you can take your hand out of the handcuff if it's funny enough. And so that's just the, like, that amorphous, oh, if we all just agree, if it makes everyone laugh, it's going to work, is generally how I feel about how we approach rules. Does that answer your question? I felt extremely.
Yeah, I think so. I might have some follow-ups, but I think that makes a lot of sense. It's like, because my kind of image of you is kind of like very much in the realm of rule of cool, it's like if something which is the pretend thing, and for me, like what you were saying with like, if it makes sense, I'll just make it work. That kind of harkens back to, like, again, before we did D&D proper, we did what was truly role playing. We would sit and we would be characters and we talk about what we did, and I didn't know it was just, like, in my mind, a different way to play pretend, but like, it was effectively role playing without stats, and I would essentially be the DM for that. And basically in my head, it's like, if what you said makes some amount of sense, then it's like, yeah, of course it works. Like, why wouldn't it work? It seems like it would work, and I think that I like to be more lenient when it seems like it should work and stuff like that,
Well, especially because, like, Rude Tales, we all come from improv. I met all of us from improv, and we're all improvisers. And so I've done way more. To this day, I've still done more. I've logged more hours with them outside of Rude Tales, just improvising. And so it's like, when you're improvising with someone and they're like, all right, I shoot you. You can't be like, in the middle of an improv scene, you can't be like, oh, well, actually my AC is 21. So that actually you could, that would be very funny in one scene, but you can't do that over and over again. And so that's where it really comes from. It's like, because I think a lot of the rules exist in D&D. Maybe I'm wrong, but this, my understanding of the rules is they exist to, like, as arbitration, right? Or is like, well, let's check the rules. Like, if we can't agree on what to do, let's just go back and let's check the rules and see what the rules have to do. And because I so seldom do that, just to keep us from falling into that, like, if you've ever, like, played with a child or something, and they're like, oh, actually there's a rule in this game that says I automatically win, like, to keep it from becoming that, or like, I have a force field. I have a knife that cuts through force fields. Well, I have a force field that, whatever, to keep it from becoming that kind of, like, argument that isn't very narratively engaging or funny. So, like, what's the fucking point? That, for that reason, we tend to just fall back on improv rules of, like, all right, unless there's a really good reason to say no, we'll just say yes to each other. And, like, whatever they just say, sure, why not? Like, he just made reference to, like, this pizza place that exists in the world. Fucking why not? Sure, they've got the water and dough situation in this world that they can make pizza. Who cares,
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know. So it's interesting because you kind of embrace that. I don't know. Like, in the rules, in the D&D rules, it always says, like, the rule 0 is, like, the DM's in charge. They get to adjudicate the rules however they want. They overrule anything. That's in there. And people, like, always want to argue about, like, that's not right. It's like, well, if it's not right, then, you're saying that the rules as written aren't right. It's like, those are the rules as written. Yeah. I don't know. Like, obviously, I think, but
also,
it's kind of,
like, even if that rule wasn't in there, fuck you. I'm doing it anyway. It doesn't matter. It's like, if I'm driving my car, I think there is a rule that you can't cut through a gas station. Well, what if I'm in a hurry? Like, yeah, yes, I can't. Like, like, what? Oh, I broke the rule. Oh no, is a cop gonna come get me? Like, fuck. It's just a game of pretend, you loser.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's just, I did, like, Harmingtown and Harmon Quest, and people would always go, like, oh, you're just, like, making shit up. It's just all, like, fake. And it's like, no, I take a lot of notes. I am doing a lot of things. And part of the way I've always DM'd, again, because it comes from pretend, is keep things moving, go with momentum, if things make sense, make them work and stuff. And it's like, but that's always been what it was to me. It's not like I made this change where I was like, now we're doing comedy and now I will do comedy rules. It's like, no, it's just, this is a fun way that I've played Dungeons and Dragons. And I played with other DMs who weren't like this, and they were a bummer a lot of times. Like, it sucked, right?
And, like, I've listened to them. I know I've played in games like this. I know, like, using the rules as written and actually, like, learning them and knowing them and, like, navigating around them can be very cool and very funny and, like, badass. Sick. That rule. I love that. I'm not going to do that, though. Like, come on. Like, I didn't do my homework, but 3 times from, the ages of 0 to 18. Like, no, I'm not going to learn the rule. But somebody else, if they want to do it, that's sick. And there's so many people. There's billions of people. It's fine.
Yeah, there's billions of people, and they all get mad. That's the thing. It's like, I don't know. I wrote one of my most negative experiences with publicity was I wrote a Cracked article about DMing because someone who worked for Cracked was like, "Oh, you should write an article about DMing and D&D," and I did, and just the comments were like, "This is all wrong," and I was like, "Jesus Christ,
love that shit."
It sucks so bad, but yeah, I don't know.
Cracked commenter who has strong opinions on D&D. That's. Life is so finite. It's so short. I can't read that.
Yeah, I wish I had the self-esteem to be able to tune people out like that, but I don't. I have impossibly thin skin. I fall apart getting out of bed and stuff. But I don't know. But it's awesome. I mean, Root Tales is awesome. It's my favorite D&D podcast that I've checked out. And it's one of the few that I can listen to. A lot of them I can't listen to. I listen to, I don't know, not to be negative. I listen to Critical Role. I really like Critical Role.
Sure.
But I've heard, I started listening to it recently, but I've heard people go oh, I can't stand Critical Role. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And then I remembered that when I listened to Critical Role, I listened to it on 2.5x speed. And very few times I put it at 1x speed, I'm like, I cannot listen to this. I've been listening to 10 seconds and it's so slow. I mean, part of that's if you listen to podcasts fast and listen to them slow, it sucks. But it's at 2.5 speed, I'm loving it.
It's also what's it, a 4-hour game, a 3-hour game that they.
Yeah. 4 hours usually. Yeah.
So that's an actual, when they say actual play, they're actually playing a game of D&D. That's of course, not going to be for every. I think they're very talented. I don't watch or listen very often because it's 4 hours. I'm a busy guy.
Yeah, and there's hundreds of episodes.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very daunting. It's very daunting to get into it, but also it's there's plenty of shows I do. Neosca. I love Neosca. That's a Shadowrun. They play Shadowrun. It's great, wonderful show. Just ended. Fun City, our sister show at Root Tail. Love that they also play Shadowrun. I hate Shadowrun, but those two shows are very good. I hate Shadowrun because it's so crunchy, and that's that can be fun for people. That's obviously, as I've said a million times already, that's just not how I process reality. It's very difficult for me to get into. But both those shows, raw. Critical Bits, they play Masks. Very great show. So I'll listen to a lot of shows that do. Play other games other than D, because also it's now I make a D&D show, so my appetite for it is way lower than it was when I started making it, because I'm already doing it so much, and then I'll listen to, and it's now I'm terrified if I listen watch Critical Role or something. It's well, God forbid I accidentally steal something from this.
Well, I've found that they've done a lot of ideas that are very similar stuff to me, and I think probably timeline wise I would have done it after they did it, and so it's to an observer they might be Spencer just stole this idea, but it's I didn't watch back then, and so I get kind of mortified listening back to them being oh shit, and then their executions are always really really elaborate and well put together and stuff. I don't know.
So I don't even have to worry about ripping them off because I'll never do something that elaborate and well put together.
Yeah, but I DM'd Shadowrun for Harmontown because Dan wanted to play Shadowrun at some point. There was some contractual stuff too. It was weird. When we did Harmon Quest, they were the company was and you got to stop playing D&D on the show, which is the weirdest clause.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I think they were
demented. Were they and you got to stop doing the show entirely?
It's so wrong-minded just because I can't imagine the most generous justification is just because then they'll be why should I pay if I could get this for free? And it's no, this is cross promotion. This is creating an audience that will then pay to watch the show version. I don't know, but I don't know exactly what they were thinking.
That's real not even business 101. It's that's somebody who's well, you got to save money to make money. That's come on, I'm an idiot. I don't cross promotion. That's stupid.
And these are the people that, rule Hollywood and stuff. These are the kind of the waters you have to navigate. I don't know. Maybe not so much these days. Who knows? But we played Shadowrun and I did not like it. Like what you were talking about, how you didn't do your homework. Like Shadowrun is a game where you have to do your homework. You cannot go in blind. Like like you just can't. Like you can't even make character like on your own. Or if you have someone make a character for you, you can't interpret the character sheet at all. You know, like it just like it's insane. And a lot of RPGs are like that, where even if the rules aren't crazy, the settings are really specific. You know, D&D, I say this all the time, but D&D is so, you know, you get it because you've watched a movie, you know, with a princess or something, you know, and you get it. But with a lot of settings, it's not like that. It's very specific and you have to know like aspects of the history of this world or something to really make sense of it. And
the world of D&D is just the word fantasy. Like it's really, right. There's no more like the Forgotten Realms or whatever bullshit. It's like, it's just fantasy shit. Like it's all it fucking is. And like, Shadowrun, Taylor on the Retails, he's also on Fun City. He was telling me about like the world of Shadowrun, that like canonically in the world of Shadowrun, there's like a dragon president. That
he got assassinated. Yeah.
And he got assassinated. And so like news happened, you know, so it's like there's news in the Shadowrun world where they'll like introduce new lore and be like, oh, by the way, the president was assassinated. That's very conceptually funny, but that also is like a huge nightmare to keep up with. We ran, we did a one-up, we ran Vampire the Masquerade, which I'm sure people worked hard on it, but I fucking hated reading that rule. But it was but the lore is so funny. It was like worth it to me because the lore is so funny and like 90s and like I've said this before, but it's like a whole world set at like that White Rabbit rave from the Matrix, you know, and like that's very, very fun. That's worth it to me to like fake it. And then I had to fake it because I couldn't. The rule book, the like DM's guide for Vampire the Masquerade, everything's like you have to hunt down any piece of information and like everything's buried in like 12 pages of lore and you have to read through the lore and sometimes there's pertinent information that's like in what seems to be just like a flavor text paragraph. It's very complicated. Yeah. It's
like, here's the thing about what happened in 1920, blah, blah, blah. And then there was the third Civil War. And if you need to climb up a ladder, you got to roll through. It's like, what the fuck? Like people shit on D&D like so much, but even like the worst rule books of D&D are written in such a more comprehensible way. And especially 5th edition, it's the most streamlined, one of the easiest like ways to best like written rule books. And it's just always something I would complain about reading. It's like, this is not the best way to present this information. And then I feel like 5th edition is pretty close to, you know, how I would do it. I don't know. 5th edition, the thing is like, 5th edition's cool because when I was playing 3rd edition, I would kind of just make up a bunch of house rules, some because I misunderstood the rules, and some just because like there was needless complication to this and that. And a lot of the house rules that I just invented like became the rules of 5e. Like they just happened to do all the things that I did anyway. Like advantage, if like a lot of times I was like, oh, I would roll a dice and then I'd be like, and then I roll another dice and then it would be higher and then I'd take that one. And that's what advantage is. It's like, you know, I'm just gonna roll a second dice.
Because people have complained to me, I've insulated myself from fans a little bit. God bless, you know, no
that's
problem.
Good. I should be so strong.
People just reach out a lot, and I think they're young, and they, you know, it's like I've exist in their skull for so many hours because they're listening. They sort of forget that that's a one way, you know, and that I'm not also hearing that. It's okay. I get it. It's okay. And especially if they're young, it's fine. But people have reached out and they've complained to me. They're like, you know, this arbitration that you did, like this rule, this house rule that you used, there's actually something much simpler you could have done. And it's always like, motherfucker, if you think that's bad, you should watch me clean my bathroom. Like if you think that's like me making it harder for myself, like, this is just what it is, dude. My brain is the way it is.
Yeah, for sure. You know? So in terms of comedy and stuff, like how did you start being funny? Like were you just always funny? And then like, was there any way to like, where people like, you should do like improv club, or was there anything like, or did you just start doing like improv, or like, what was the deal there?
Yeah.
You know?
I think if I really go back, I was probably a funny baby. Right, I don't remember that, but I got to assume I've seen
the
pictures.
Michigan J. Frog of babies.
Yeah, I could speak perfectly, but only when just my dad was around. I don't know. I just I liked it. I liked to laugh when I was a little kid. Both my parents are funny. And so it just seemed like a natural thing. And I was always drawn to like comedy stuff. So yeah, I just remember as soon as when you're a real little kid, you're just a little kid. You're just running around. There's no differentiation between kids. But as soon as there was, I remember I was like mouthy. Even more than funny, I was mouthy. I was talking back to adults and shit. And that can go a few ways. And I got lucky that it went the funny way and not the I go to jail later way. That was I think I just was funny from the get-go. And then I remember in high school, I just remembered this recently. I took theater in high school because my friend and I wanted a blow-off class that we could take. And we were getting our schedules straight. And we were oh, this will be easy. We're both notable for wanting to. I was notable for being a bad student. That was my claim to fame in 8th grade was I'm funny and I'm a bad student. That, what do you got for me? And he was a good student. He was also funny, but he was a good student. We were going to go to the same high school. And then he got snagged for a magnet high school for a math and science high school. But it was too late. It was too late for me to switch my schedule. So I was fucked. And I was stuck in this theater class that luckily, because I was a mouthy guy, I just because of my personality at that point, it just happened to, and I know theater kid and it's a very loaded term now because people who are too online have decided it's bad, but whatever. I was a very extroverted kid. And so it just was a natural fit. And then they had an improv club, I think, and it just was, so I started doing improv when I was 14. Wow, and I liked Who's Line and shit, it was and I liked Mystery Science Theater, which I know now was scripted, but at the time I thought they were just watching the movies and riffing on them the way my friends and I would. And I was God, they're just so much better at it. How do I get that good? And it's now I know it's, but they're very funny guys, obviously, but they have the aid of about a week to really sit down and do it and cut it, but blah, blah, blah. Sure. But so yeah, about when I was 14, a lot of things just sort of came together and I had no other skills whatsoever. I think I was into guitar. I'm awful. I did get this rack of them here and I'm not good at any of them. Fucking wretched guitar, but it's fun, but I'm not good at it. So I had no other skills really other than drawing, which whatever. So that, yeah, it all just came together in that when I was about 14.
Were you drawing as a kid? Were you doing comics or anything back then?
Yeah, I started drawing really, really early. And it's just it's like anything when you have a skill when you're a kid, it's it didn't feel like a skill. It just felt like I was doing it at about the same caliber as everyone else. And then I just remember adults, I had this God's eye view of adults being oh, you're good at drawing. And I'm if you fucking say I guess I drew Sonic better than that kid. It didn't mean anything to me. And so, but also I'm a fucking glory hound though. So the second an adult was you're good at this, I was hey, don't mind if I do. I'll be drawing all day if I'm good at it. If you say I'm the best at it, so that sounds great to me. And so, yeah, but that was never my main thing. That was always just a thing I did on the side, or I would read the Life in Hell books that Matt Groening made and draw the the fucking the twins or the rabbits from that all the time.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to draw. I remember when I was basically 3 or 4 or something, I think I was still drawing with markers and stuff, and I just was drawing relatively continuously. But at some point in middle school or something, I just saw other kids' drawings, and I was oh, I'm never going to amount to anything. I basically just stopped at that point.
Dude, yeah.
Because they were actually good. But I think, yeah, I also think I was kind of funny and people acknowledge that. But my identity was always smart. That's what I was validated in as a kid, just doing school and stuff. And I think that's what I focused on, which is honestly, not a good thing to focus an identity on, because there's always going to be people smarter than you, and there's always going to be people who work harder and study harder and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it also it goes nowhere unless you turn it to something else, so being I'm going to be the guy that does school well is that doesn't get you anywhere, in and of itself. And that's kind of what my identity was. I was introverted and stuff, so I wasn't, it's not I didn't have friends, but I wasn't as social as other people, because I was but we're supposed to be doing school right now, and it sucks. I don't know. I think it would have been cool to do theater and stuff, but I just remember like being like afraid of theater kids. Like it seems like I don't know, but and also there's never any like improv club or anything. I'm super jealous anytime anyone talks about how like they had school kind of outlets for comedy, because I feel like I could have done stuff like that, or at least tried. But it's like it's kind of like when you watch TV and you don't know, oh, people make this. You know, comedy always felt kind of like that, where I knew that people did it. I watched Who's Line and Comedy Central and stuff, but like the idea that it's like, oh, this is something I could try to do, like just never entered my head, which is just weird. Especially, you know, that's kind of where I live now, and I just like I feel like everywhere I am right now is like all completely out of my depth, and I never had any like foundation or baseline to like learn these things, and now I'm just in the deep end trying to like not drown and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting, but yeah, I mean, so did you go to like? Did you do any like improv like training, like UCB or whatever, like or anything you performed? So how did you perform?
Yeah, I did some. So I went to school for acting. I went to college for acting, and I got kicked out. And then because I wasn't good. They didn't like what I was doing. I think I was good.
School seems really rigorous and specific. Like they want you to do it exactly their way, otherwise they get really upset. Is how I've heard a lot of people say.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good fit. I've come such a long way. I don't want to go back to like fuck that. It's just they want what they want. I want what I want. And luckily, what we both wanted was for me to stop paying them. That we could both agree on that, like we found some common ground, which was no more money for them from me. Which like, now and I'm 34. Thank God, that's one of the kindest things anyone's ever done to me, was kick me out of school before it could get real bad with money. Like, God, we should do that constantly. We should kick every kid out of school. Like we got to do something better. But so I got kicked out, and then I moved to New York, and I started doing, I did like UCB classes. I did magnet classes. I joined, this is like the bigger one than anything else. I joined this company called Story Pirates, who, if you're not familiar, they take stories that kids write and they turn them into sketch comedy shows. There's more to the mission statement than that, but that's like that's the elevator pitch, and that rocked. That was so cool. And that like unlocked the feeling that I had lost in college of like, this feels like fucking around. And, I was a very rowdy kid in high school. And like, we would do plays, and I would say, I think 30% of the lines I said were like written down in the script. It was just mostly us like fucking around and like just going nuts. And like, we would write extra scenes and try to sneak them into the shows and shit. Like we did Oklahoma. And I didn't even do this one. My little brother was in like the ensemble, and all the boys on like the boys ensemble, there's like all the cowboys, the cowpokes. They were like, they had formed a semicircle, and they were supposed to just be like watching the events on stage and just like, nodding. And they got bored, because boys get, they got bored. And so they passed around a stage gun, and they were playing Russian roulette with it and just putting it to their head and clicking. And my friend Josh was in the pit orchestra, and he was in charge of the gunshot sound effect. And he noticed them doing it. And he was like, well, I'm going to fuck with Ben, my little brother, because he knew my brother. And he was like, I'm going to fuck with him. And when it got to my brother put the gun to his head, pulled the trigger, and Josh made the gunshot sound effect go off. And so my brother, this fucking, I've seen professional improv that pales in comparison to what my little brother did here. He looked at the gun, heard the sound effect, and shrugged, and then threw his body onto the ground. And he was just like, all right, I'm dead. And they dragged him off stage. And he was, by the way, my brother was like an incredible dancer. He was the featured dancer in the next song, which was Oklahoma. The big, like, oh, Oklahoma, where he was and they did it like a flying V, like goose migration for me. And he was the center. They were all dancing based on him at the very center. And so he comes out in the next scene, and they tied toilet paper around his head, like he had like a head bandage on. And so he just was like dancing in the center, like like he just recently survived a gunshot wound to the head. And so like that was I know it's very gauche to like tell war stories about your high school theater department, but it's fun. I had a good time. So that Story Pirates sort of like recaptured that feeling for me of like, this is fun. It's fun to perform. It's not homework. It's not a chore. It's not a thing where you get yelled at later because you didn't do Hamlet well enough. Like, it's a fun it's fun. It's fun to perform. It's fun to vent this. I know myself. I'm very annoying if I don't get that ventilation of performing. It's good. It's a good thing to have. And so that sort of Story Pirates was the thing that like reignited the spark, and it's why I'm still doing it.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. And you'd never done like stand-up or anything, right? It was just all improv, yeah.
I did it in high school. I did stand up. I'd like go around and do it, and I'd do it at a show, and I'd be asked to like host stuff at my high school, and I'd do stand up for that. And in retrospect, insane. I never wrote anything. It was just it was improvising, but it was all just like charisma and momentum of like, all right, what am I gonna say next? Like, and sometimes I'd get in trouble for it because you just shouldn't give a 15-year-old boy a microphone and say go nuts, but like so I did it a lot, and then I sort of had this self-perception of like, oh, I'm a stand-up, and then when I moved to New York, I tried doing it, and it's like that knocked it right out of me. I like watching it, I like consuming it, but it's not for me. I love it, but I don't love doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's awesome though. Jeez, man,
thanks.
It sounds like you had a lot of fun. Just in life.
I know I was like complaining up top, but I have a very fun life. Yeah.
No, it's just interesting. I mean, I'm just reflecting on what you're saying and being like, I wonder what would happen if I were in a situation. But I think like the answer is I would just be terrified and hide at any given opportunity, which is what I did largely. So, but it's interesting. But so shit. Here's a good question. This one's really good.
Good. Oh, awesome.
So get ready, everybody, audience. Just take a sec to center yourself. You're a very tall man.
Yes. Yeah.
Care to comment on that?
I'm every bit of 6'3". I not to brag, but these go all the way out. The legs go all the way down. Yeah. We've met in person. You're also you're a fellow scraper of the sky. It's good. It's nice. I gotta say, it's nice to. There's so many things that culture has just sort of like bent to make things easy for me, and being tall it's just add another one to the list.
Do you have any like memories of being tall affecting you in good or bad ways?
I was just talking to someone about this. Mostly good. It was mostly good. It was all I wanted was attention all the time, and it just was like a lightning rod for attention, to be
sure.
Tall. It's never like I had like I shot up, or I didn't have like a Dennis Rodman, like I'm in a new body, what do I do? Like nothing like that. I just was always pretty tall. But the only downside I can think of was there was like a cultural, I feel like we even talked about this, but
maybe,
not in front of a camera. There was like a cultural expectation that I at least give basketball a try.
Yeah.
Did you have that?
Yeah, no, my dad made me play basketball. I had no interest in any sports, and later my parents would just kind of say you have to play some form of sport no matter what. But like more specifically, it was like basketball because you were tall. And like I think I even got scouted for football, not like real scouted, but like at my middle school, people were like, you got to play football because you're so big and stuff. And so it's like that happened to me. But yeah, I don't know. I was really good.
So like Ditka coming to your high school, like. We need you, kid.
We need this guy. Yeah. But in basketball, I could just get rebounds because, kids were kid size and I was like me size, and I would just put my hands up and the ball would just go into them when it bounced off the thing. And, I could either put it back up and I would get like I couldn't shoot. So like I would get like 6 of my own rebounds in a row, or I can like shoot it back out to the point guard or something. And,
right. You're just wasting everyone's time. Just like, wait, hold on. Wait, I got it. It's like when I play guitar, like, oh, fuck. Wait, hold on 1 second. I know this one. Like, I would just stand and like kids would jump, and at the height of their jumps with their arms outreach, they couldn't even get like close to me. It was just like I was just there, so I'm sure that was a value, but I couldn't make it down the court really. I don't know. I was just thinking that like for me, like when I was in third grade, a really little kid like smashed into me. He wasn't looking where he was going, and he was like, watch where you're going. And then like it was like a cartoon or like a movie or something. He like slowly pans up my body to make eye contact with me.
and then it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and like ran away like I was gonna destroy him. And it was just like, it was a really formative moment for me, because it was like, oh, people perceive me as a threat, like I am a danger, you know. And it was just a really weird thing. And so I was always, I kind of came in like, you know, I kind of was like, I have to come across as like a gentle figure to like ward off this kind of, you know, scariness.
A lot of tall guys I've noticed have that. They have this like gentleness or this ease to them that for whatever reason I've completely sidestepped. Like I have none of that, like the phlegmatic sort of like chill that comes with being tall. Like 0% of that. If anything, it's just amplified the like Pipsqueak energy that I do have. It's just, that's a lot. That's a lot for like a 6'3" guy to just be like screaming all the time. But that's what I'm talking about, dictators. Right. I think I'd be a good dictator for that reason.
Well, I don't know. It is interesting. Yeah, your energy is definitely it's different. I don't know. I associate it with a lot of people, but like I don't know. I always thought it was like a result of, you know, people. Shrek was a movie, and people would be always like, well, "There goes Shrek," you know. And I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, I'm fucking Shrek over here." But yeah, I don't know. So
I had the E.T. when I was a little kid. E.T. was a nightmare for me because if you can imagine what I look like now and then exaggerate that looked a lot like E.T. when I was a little kid. That one was rough. A Bug's Life was unpleasant for me because there was a stick bug in it. And I used to be like medically thin, like and tall, like just very, very skinny kid. That was unpleasant. That was not, I remember that one being like, the shoulders are going to come in one day and they'll all be sorry, but never happened.
Well, I feel like your figure is pretty nice, right? Don't you? I think you look kind of more normal-ish, right?
It's really normalized. There just were a few years there, you know where I mean?
Oh,
where
sure.
It was just height.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's weird that we have this word gangly. It's like, what a horrible word. I mean, obviously it exists to describe people, but it's like, no one ever wants to be gangly. It's
also, there's a few words like that exist only to describe people who... No gangly person has ever been hurting anyone. You know, it's like, oh, this gangly murderer. No, like you'd call them something else. It's a completely harmless person. It's a harmful term for a harmless person. It shouldn't exist.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man. I don't know. Ugh, you guys. I'm having a great time. You having a good time, Branson?
I'm having a ball. This is great.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I got to shut up a little bit more for this show, I think.
I don't know what Kevin's trying to do here. Kevin, you got any burning questions for Branson? You got anything that's come out you've been like, the thing about Kevin is he's always itching for like an opportunity to speak. It doesn't physically pain him to have to talk on the show. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Sometimes you have a lot of keen insights and interesting things to say when I do let you talk, Kevin. You got anything?
Yeah, Kevin, your energy so far has been completely overwhelming and smothering.
And he loves being put on the spot.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm a newcomer to D&D. You know, kind of a throwback to earlier episodes when we talked about this. Like, I was a kid in a very small town, and I was the only nerdy kid in 100 miles. So, like, I had all the D&D books, I had everything, but no one to play with. I never did any of it at all. The first time I actually played D&D was, 68 episodes ago with Spencer here. Mm-hmm. So what's your suggestion for somebody who wants to get into stuff like this? Like if I wanted to be a DM or if I wanted to do stuff like this here, how do I get started? What do you think is the best way to dive in?
That's a good question. I think it's a little like, my feeling on it is it's a little like starting a band in like middle school or high school, or it's like, you got to drum. Nobody drums, if you want to do it, you got to be the drummer because everyone wants to play lead guitar. So my feeling is, this is at least what I did with Rude Tales, was I was like, I want to play a game with my friends. I guess I'll DM it. I think you got a DM to write. What do I know? I
think that's true. It's like it's you, if you have to want it the most, because like the other people won't want it more than you. If you're the guy that's like, I really want to be playing D&D, that's because you're the person who wants that the most out of everyone that surrounds you, you know? So you really got to recruit people, and it's hard to recruit someone to be like, hey, you want to DM? You know, like no one wants to DM, and no one knows how to DM, even if they, you know, if they did want to. So yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. It's like, you can't wait to get asked out. You know, you got to like shoot your shot. Like you got to like, or also maybe I'm completely, or maybe it's like there's like Discords and shit. Like I'm sure there's places where you can just like log, you know, or like Reddits or things that like, I sound 100 years old, like that you could go on the Reddit and talk to the guys. Like, but you know what? I'm sure there's got to be meetups if you live near like a gaming store. I used to live near a place in Brooklyn. I guess I don't live there anymore. I can reveal a past location. I used to live near the Brooklyn Strategist in Brooklyn. And there were always, all the time, anytime I ever went in there, people were like playing games together. And there were like icebreaker nights and stuff that you could like go to. So if anyone lives in Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn, that's my suggestion, is to go to Brooklyn Strategist. If they're still open, they're very good.
So Spencer brought up
that's what go ahead too. Oh, just that like the game stores they usually have a regular night, if not more. They often have new coming events or signups or something. Like there's ways to integrate yourselves into games that exists. But, you know, I'd be terrified to do that personally. It's like a bunch of fucking strangers who the only thing I know about them is they're weird nerds. You know, like that's not good.
High risk, high reward situation.
Right.
Sure.
Exactly. I'm sure they're great people. It's just on paper, it does not look right. You know, what were you going to say, Kevin?
So, I mean, you brought up a good point of saying like you have to want it more than anybody else does. What is it about playing in the styles that you do and the way that you do makes you feel like, yeah, I'm the one who should be doing this?
For me, it's just like you were saying, like I had all the books and it's like, well, I'm just reading these. I could keep reading them or I could actually do something with them. So it's like, if you want to actually do something with them, it's again, you got to make the first move. I don't know if you have an answer, Branson.
For me, I've like never met someone in my life who talks more than I do. And so it's literally, it's just like, I think it makes sense that the DM would be the chattiest. Maybe not, actually. Maybe there's advantages and disadvantages to that. But it just felt like a natural, or it's like, well, when I improvise with these people, I end up talking about 50% of the time anyway, just because I can't shut the fuck up. Like, so it made sense, you know, that I'd be like, all right, yeah, I'll just describe every location. I want to do that anyway. You know, I didn't have any reluctance to do it. It's like, oh, I get to play every villain. Fuck yeah. I get to play a rotating cast of NPCs. Like that rocks. I get to describe anytime you walk into like a weird cellar or something, I get to talk about like how fucked up the place is. Like it just seemed like the fun thing to get to, you know, if you're doing a play or a movie, it's like, yeah, I want to play the villain. You know, like I want to play I don't want to play James Bond. I want to play a Bond villain in one movie. You only have to do one movie and you get to be a fucking freak. That sounds like a way better deal. You know, it just felt like the natural fit rather than having to play a character. I have a lot of sympathy for my players because I would go insane if I was locked into one character.
Yeah, it definitely seems hard. Like when I played, I would want to play different characters. Like, you know, there's a kind of player that wants to like change who their character is all the time. That was kind of like one of my archetypes. And yeah, I think the DM is a decent fit for that. You kind of referenced that, like, I'm not sure. So but just as a question, was it your idea to do Routels? Were you like, oh, I want to do a D&D kind of thing? Or was that like a group effort? Did someone else pitch the idea, or how did that come together?
I have been coached not to say it quite like this, but come on. No, it's good. I'll tell you. We had a home game. We were playing a home game. It was a blast. And I just was like, I'll play a little D&D. That could be fun. You know, I wanted to DM because it felt like that would be it's all the things I just said. Like, I thought that would be fun. And after like 3 or 4 games, I was like, this was a blast. It's very stupid to keep this to ourselves. Very dumb. I'm having too much fun. And, you know, there's a lot of money we're leaving on that. This is what I've been coached away from saying. It's like, but come on. It's like, I don't want to do this. This is so much fun, but it's also so time consuming. And it is so difficult to get everyone's schedules together. If we're going to do it, let's make a little money while we're doing it. And it just was so much fun right away that I wanted to make it into a show. And I sort of knew Taylor, our producer, and I knew he was making podcasts and was sort of looking for something like this. So I reached out to him. I don't know if who, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know any like one person.
Yeah, I got you. But so for the home game, that wasn't your idea then. Like that was someone else with the DM, and you got recruited, or how did the home?
No, that
game
was my idea.
started?
I wanted to do the home game with the cast. It was the same cast as we have now. It was different characters. It was like a different campaign in this world. But I just was having so much fun with it. It was like it just felt like a shame. It felt like a waste to. There's fun you have with your friend, and there's hanging out and shooting the shit with your friends and all that. That's like fun. But I don't know, something about it. I was like, this is like, not to be this kind of person, but I was like, this is like too good. This is too good for us to just be doing in an afternoon, Well,
like, I think that's accurate. Like, I don't know. Like, I've never played D&D really and had that thought. But it's like, if it was that good, I think I would have that thought too, But it's never been that good.
It just was like, they were clicking right away. It's like everything I was throwing down, they were picking up. And even then it was like, well, we're not even really playing D&D. And we're all so used to having an audience. Why don't we just do that again?
Right.
No? And they were all game for it. So we just did it.
It makes a lot of sense, especially like the natural. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense given your background and your guys' background. That totally makes so much sense. That's really interesting. Okay, but we like to do a segment on the show. It's a recurring segment. We call it "What's Kevin's Deal?" Now, Kevin is an international man of mystery. He's an interesting guy. He's actually, I don't know, he probably looks kind of interesting. He has like an interesting prop behind him that you can see on his, camera. But you would never know that this guy is actually incredibly, crazily interesting. It's really like the stories this guy tells are so insane that I just am convinced he's like a compulsive liar. But the thing is, they turn out to be true with the stuff he says, because his life is just really interesting. But so we like to have guests try and guess what Kevin's deal is based on the very little exposure they've gotten to him so far. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So do you have any? I could go first if you want, but basically we just go like, hey, what's your deal? Like, is this your deal? Do you have any ideas, any thoughts?
Yeah, let me throw something at it. If I'm completely off base, just tell me and I'll.
No, that's the game. Yeah.
Well, great. Then I'll play the game. Let's play the game. Okay. I've been watching so much Mentalist. I feel like I should be good at this, but really, all that means is I've just been watching a fake person who's good at it.
Right.
None of that transfers to me, but we'll see, because I feel a lot of kinship with the Mentalist. Okay, so Kevin, I know you got a rainbow thing behind you. It seems like a huge advent calendar. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. Are you extremely religious? Because it seems like a very complicated. Okay.
No. That is actually one of those like in old timey movies when the trains had those flip boards where like you'd see the letters start flipping to show like the train schedule.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those. I just have it showing colors right now.
So does it set to other things, not just colors?
Yeah, it can be letters and numbers and symbols and all kinds of stuff. I just had something pretty on there.
Are you like a programmer of some? Do you do like do you like? It seems like something that you. Okay, see, there we go. The first one was a joke anyway. I'm just breaking the ice. I knew it. I am the Mentalist.
Yes, I used to be a video game programmer.
Oh, fun. Okay, so did you? I want to guess what kind of I feel like. I'm thinking, okay. Okay, you were a video game programmer. What are we talking here? We talking like some sort of like indie stuff, like a little more big stuff, big deal. Okay. You programmed Wario.
No.
All right. I shot too high. I saw you shaking your head when I said indie, and I shot straight for the moon. Okay, so you programmed the guy with the camera.
Like Lakitu?
Yeah. Okay, Lakitu. Yeah.
No, different company. Different company.
Uh-huh. You programmed Gex.
No. Should we let him off the hook here? Because this is hard.
I'll give you a hint. There was a lot of quarters involved.
Oh, you're too young to have programmed Galaga, but that's immediately where my mind went. I'd put you at a robust 26. I'd say you're 20. You look 26.
I mean, that's the correct company.
Oh, okay. So the Galaga company, who I of course know.
We all do.
Galaga. Okay, I'm consulting. The spirits are talking to me. Okay, it's fuck it, I don't know. I don't know the company. I don't know, but I want to guess. You're too young for it to be Iggy's Wrecking Balls, but that's where my.
Oh man, Iggy's Wrecking Balls. You ever play Sonic, Branson?
I did play a little Sonic.
This is some Sonic music, but it's not actually a hint. This is something we do on our show when we're running out of time. But
oh god, yeah, this is the drowning.
It's
music,
a fighting
right?
game. It's a fighting game, but not the one you're thinking of. The
Tekken?
company that makes no more. You think of it more.
Think of it more. Street Fighter.
Oh, that's we're out of time, folks. Kevin
Midway Games. I worked at
Midway Games, creator of Mortal Kombat.
That the one I liked. Oh.
But yeah, we're out of time, guys. Thanks so much, Branson. Do you have anything to plug? Anything you want to talk about? Any soapboxes you want to go off real quick?
I gotta say, you plugged all my stuff up top, and I really appreciate it. But I'll get it in there again. We're talking about Rude Tales. Listen to Rude Tales of Magic. We have a sci-fi show. Oh, Those Stars of Space. Same cast, very fun. And our producer Taylor's on it. He's so funny. But definitely, if you do nothing else, be sure to, if you do one thing, be sure to watch Swan Boy on Hulu. And if you like it, Venmo me.
You got to check out Swan Boy, you guys. It's I can't remember what the tweet was, but it's like an old timey cartoons like comedy, but like, you know, put into the fucked up present or something. Like it's really great. It reminds me of Looney Tunes, but that makes it almost sound like not as good because it's like way better. I don't know. It's amazing. It's a triumph. It's incredible. Yeah, no problem. I mean, I love cartoons, and that's one of the cartoons that I love, baby. But yeah, I don't know. What do I do? Twitch. I play D&D. I have a Patreon where I make D&D content. You know, like I make subclasses, I make dungeons, I make like monsters and enemies you can use in your campaign. I don't know. I do other stuff too. I do fast food reviews. I just reviewed the Cheez-It tostada from Taco Bell.
How is it?
It's good, but the problem is that Cheez-Its flavor profile is salty and cheesy, gets buried by the salty and cheesy elements of, you know, Taco Bell. So Taco Bell's a very salty, cheesy place. So it's like you want it to stand out a bit more. It gets a little buried and like maybe double or triple the amount of Cheez-Its or something, and then I think you're talking. But it is really good. But yeah, there's also a Crunch Wrap. I wouldn't recommend the Crunch Wrap. But yeah, that's it for me. What about you, Kevin? Kevin has stuff to plug too.
Coming up next is the best of Channel 101, half an hour of some of the best Channel 101 sketches, followed by real life sci-fi. And then my lovely wife Ariel's show, Horror Madness, is on at 8:15 Pacific, 11:15 Eastern.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Branson. We like to end the show the same way every time. So until next time, finish him. That's actually from there's a podcast called Mortal Podcast, and that's actually how they end the show. Whatever. See you guys.
Scarpins Avenue.